What's up, you filthy casuals? Welcome to Casual Shenanigans Gaming, a podcast all about the irreverent love of gaming. I am one of your hosts, Jeremiah, and tonight I'm joined by Dave and James.
What's up?
There's only two of us.
We're not joined by Joel tonight. Well, you probably already noticed that. He had some Norman stuff to work on. You know, he has to work on Norman stuff whenever Norman stuff is available. Like, whenever people are available, he kind of has to break from whatever he's doing and go do that. So
whenever the begging just reaches that breaking point and someone just breaks down and is like, all right, let's get some work done.
Basically, so he won't be here tonight, but that's okay, because we still have a great show planned for you, and Joel sends his regards. He didn't actually say anything, but I'm assuming he misses this or something. I don't know. Dave, man. Wait, I just noticed behind you, is that a Mad Max Fury Road poster?
It is, yes.
Ooh, I like that. Send me a picture of that later. Where'd you get it?
It's covering up a scratch in the wall from when I was moving furniture. I went and saw a movie in the real grown-up theater. I paid full price for it.
Did they let you bring your gun in?
I have no comment. But they were actually giving away posters for free, which was pretty cool. It's a neat poster. I really like it. It's small, but it's really nicely designed. And the movie, like, I go see maybe 2 movies a year, and I tend to pick really good ones thanks to Joel, and this was a good one to pick. It's gonna be this and Star Wars this year, I think. So.
Sweet. I've seen Fury Road twice, and I'm trying to work out a way to see it again in like a couple of weeks. I'm having some people over. When does it come out on Blu-ray? It's still going to be a while, isn't it?
I'm sure they haven't even announced that yet.
Dang it!
It'll be by the end of the year.
I don't want to hear about the end of the year. I like the good new days we're living in, where stuff comes out on Blu-ray like 2 months after it is in theaters. Like, I really like that. That's really nice.
Those are called crappy movies.
No, lots of good movies do that.
Let's see. December 2015 is when it's estimated.
Dang nabbit.
Yeah, it's a long ways off. I'm gonna buy it for sure. It's excellent.
Yeah, it is fantastic. But anyway, welcome to the show, everybody. Announcements for tonight. James has a new mic. Thank you to everyone who supports us on Patreon. Wow, James. Sound more thankful.
Yeah, guys.
Well, it's good now because James also has a mic stand that he doesn't have to fuss with his snowball like sitting on a stack of books anymore. Is it more convenient, James?
It's way more convenient, honestly. I mean, to show my appreciation, I'll switch to a headset mic for 15 seconds.
Ooh. Okay. Oh, James, if you're about to break everything, I'm going to be so mad at you. If Audacity quits on you.
It will not quit.
Yeah, we can't hear you now, James. Exactly as I predicted. It's not working. It's just you. This is good radio right here.
What you do, James?
I haven't done anything. I wasn't even talking. You can't hear me if my lips aren't moving.
Your lips were moving.
Your lips were moving.
Test 1, 2. Can you hear me now?
Oh, gosh.
How does this sound, guys? Hey, thanks for the new microphone. Appreciate it.
Oh, that's bad. James, like, the characteristic of your voice is it's deep and bassy and sexy, and that mic does not respect any of those things.
Yeah, James, you saying those words actually, like, my image of you changed looking at your Skype feed right here. I just saw this, like, super annoying, like, YouTube host or something. It was not good.
Hi, guys.
But yeah, this new mic sounds quite a bit better. It was actually pretty affordable, too. So thank you to everyone who supports us on Patreon. James's mic was the last one that had real issues, and it is all sorted out now. But we are not going to thank people who support us on Patreon like we do every week. And Joel's not here to read the voice of the person who pledged, so James is going to do it, but I have to give James a voice to do. Let's see. What would be good? I didn't really do any prep work here. James is pretty good with voices, too, so like I don't want to waste this opportunity. Could you do Yosemite Sam?
I gotta remember Yosemite Sam. I was about to do
don't remember,
Foghorn Leghorn.
Okay, Foghorn Leghorn's fine.
I do say thank you, Alex, for your pledge. I do declare thank you. And I guess Yosemite Sam was thank you for the
It's like Joel's right here with us.
That was pretty good. I don't really know what the second part was, but the rest was pretty good.
That's Yosemite Sam when he's.
It's been a while for me too. I haven't seen it in so long.
I can't remember Yosemite Sam.
I was like, yeah, that basically sounds like Yosemite Sam.
The guy that always falls down the stairs and does the cartoon cursing on the way down.
Yeah.
Okay, there it is.
All right. We are going to start the podcast like we always do with the main topic. We don't have a song for that. It looks like James was about to say something. He cleared his throat. I was going to wait. So he was going like, main topic time. All right.
Oh, yeah. Main topic, baby.
All right. That's pretty good. You can do that from now on.
No, that won't happen.
All right.
Never again.
There is a new Hitman coming out this fall. Kind of. A quote-unquote significant chunk of Hitman will be released on December 8th. Then additional missions will be released for the game throughout 2016. The initial $60 you pay for the game will include all these later missions. Square Enix would like to stress to you that this is not an early access game, and I quote, "Early access can often mean something unfinished or unpolished." Unfinished seems like the operative word. That's simply not the approach we're taking. All of the content we release live to our players will be complete and polished, whether that's the locations and missions we release on December 8th, the live events, which they don't really tell you what those are, or the locations and missions we will release in 2016. It will always be a polished Hitman experience. They also don't want you to think of this as an episodic experience because they're not selling individual chunks. They're selling all the chunks to you at one time. They didn't comment on whether that's kind of a season's pass or not. But yeah, so they said there's no microtransactions or hidden costs in there, no extra paid DLC. It's one all-in-one package for $60. We just release it over a period of a year. How do you guys feel about that?
Go for it, James. I can see the thoughts bubbling up.
James feels very strongly about like the stupid things like release day sins, as he calls them, because I mean, like all of us have been gaming for a while, but James has been gaming since the days where like you bought the cartridge, it worked.
You get what you get, you play it.
Yeah, you get what you get, and you don't have to throw a fit. Yeah. So James, how do you feel about this?
It's broken forever.
Yeah, and it's just quirky and charming.
My first thought is, what the hell are you thinking? I mean, honestly, I could see something like a Telltale game that is episodic.
Yeah.
Where it makes sense to release things and then people get excited about the next one. I honestly can't think of a good rationale for them doing this way.
I can. We could release it in holiday of 2016, or we could release part of it in holiday 2015. What do you guys think? Money earlier sounds good.
I said a good reason.
What's your good reason?
No, I said I can't think of a good reason. That's a reason.
Yeah,
that's a good reason for them, but it's not a good reason. Like, it does nothing for the it does nothing for the players.
It hurts the game. I mean, not that we're like the benchmark of how everyone plays games, but think about how we play. Like, it's a game comes out, if we're really excited, whenever we get it, you probably play through it in you play through it in like a month or two, and then you're done, you move on to something else. Are you going to want to play one or two missions every couple months?
Yeah. I mean, how does this work with, number one, how does it work with physical media? Number two, how is something like this going to hurt, somebody like GameStop or Best Buy that actually has used...
Yeah, like the rentals setups for this game, no one's going to rent this. Like, you're renting the first half of the game. I guess the disc, like, they don't even talk about that. Like, the disc is going to include the first, quote, significant chunk. But they don't tell you what that is. If the significant chunk is like 15 hours and then they just release a bunch of bonus stuff, that's pretty good. But if significant chunk is the first third or first half of the game, that's not good. Like, if the story's not going to be complete until a year later and you have to play each little bit, that's stupid.
Yeah, so here's my thoughts. I think the game, how it's been described, fits this format perfectly, but only if it's front-loaded with tons of content, like you said. Like, if there's a good 20 hours there, it's like you have 12 missions to pick from. I was like, okay, sweet, I'll play this for the 20 hours, and I'll leave it installed as new content drops. Then it's like, I get a completed game and then bonus content, but it's like, it's an open-world Hitman game with 4 missions to pick from, and then it's just a drip feed. Like, who's going to keep it installed on PC? Like you said, who's going to rent that?
That's not great. Actually, we've been corrected in chat that... Shane and Steven said that it's actually digital only on December 8th. This is one good decision. They're not going to put it out on disc until it's completely done.
That makes more sense, yeah.
I'm on board with that.
That makes more sense, but, I mean, how is it not? I mean, luckily it's Hitman and it's not like one of the biggest games that are coming out. Like, it's not, a Halo or something like that, something that's a system driver. But I can't imagine retailers are like, okay, we're fine with it. We'll sit on profit until you're ready to give us copies.
Yeah.
It's almost like they're throwing away money too, because this is once again a great style of game for like a season pass. If you're providing good content in the game, like if the core game's good and the initial missions are good, and it's like, hey, let's add more onto it. $25 for 10 more missions.
Yeah, but I don't think they're adding on to it. I mean, they're definitely not adding on to it though. This is the complete game. They're just giving you in pieces, which is the definition of early access, is releasing an unfinished chunk. But they say, no, everything we released is finished. It's just not all of the game, which to me is unfinished.
So then what, like I said, what benefit, at least to the consumers, do they have to release some chunk if they're not going back and if they're not completing levels in the meantime, you know what I mean?
I guess you could make an argument that you'll get to play some of it this fall as opposed to waiting to play all of it next year, but I'd rather wait to play all of it next year.
But that's not the big enough game to be like, oh yeah, I can play 20% and I've put 100 hours in.
Right. Yeah, I know. Honestly, I can't think of a single benefit for the consumers. Like, unless you want to have an episodic adventure with Agent 47, which is, again, not... I don't understand, like, why does this game... I mean, Uncharted would be probably a worse game to get in episodes, but, like, there are...
That would be awful. Oh, no.
But, like, this doesn't even... It doesn't make any sense. I can't think of a single reason that a consumer would want this. So a lot of people, I'm sure, are going to buy it because they want to play it as soon as they can, but if they had the choice between getting it like this or getting the full game, if time wasn't a factor, if it wasn't waiting an extra 8 months, I think everyone would choose the complete game. Like, there's no reason not to. Play it at your own pace anyway. It's not like pieces of the game go away if you don't play them on time. You know?
Also, I wanted to ask this. What do you guys think is the possibility of content not being released that obviously consumers would just never hear about, probably? But
that is my big concern.
Like Half-Life 2 Episode 3, like, we're going to have a release schedule, it gets pushed, and then part of the game just never comes out, and like I said, maybe they don't even talk about it, like, oh no, what we released, that's the finished game, guys. There was like a whole other section that was scrapped, maybe. Like, will we even know about it? Or
that's basically a guarantee that would happen.
Yeah.
It's already happening with things like Project Cars, the free car we're supposed to get every month. We got the first free car on launch week, and then that was in May, and they said, oh wait, well that was technically the launch car for June, so there's no car in June, and now we're in July, and they said, and your second free car of the month, in the third month the game has been out, will be coming out at the end of July, so after like 2.5 months.
I don't think they understand what a month means.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it was somewhere near that calendar, that month of the calendar. But that's a big risk, Dave.
This quarter, guys, this quarter.
Every episodic game that I'm familiar with, I know they say this isn't episodic, but its release schedule's episodic.
It is, yeah.
Every episodic game I know of, they end up pushing some of their release dates because something happens, things don't work, stuff goes wrong, whatever, and they end up pushing stuff back. Like, I don't think there's any way that's not going to happen. This game is going to take longer to come out than they think it is, especially because of feature creep, which is a big problem in modern games. Everyone on the development team wants to make the best game possible. They want to add as many things as they can. They want to make it as good as possible. You can always push the game back farther to make it better. So that means they're going to be fighting that for every single release. They're going to be fighting to not push stuff back and get it out. So that's going to pigeonhole them into keeping to the same schedule, which means there's a very good chance stuff is going to have more and more problems because they feel like, crap, all right, well, the last expansion or the last set of episodes is still a little bit broken, but we got to hurry to get this new one out.
Yep.
And like, they'll have to be splitting up resources like this. I can't imagine how this makes sense. It barely works for like point-and-click adventures.
I think it's just a douchey way to get your game out by the holiday season. I mean, there's no other reason to do something like that. I
agree. I think it's the publisher pushing this too, I bet.
Look, we got to get something out this season before all the big games come out next year.
I mean, them talking about how, like, no, it's going to be polished and finished and everything. It is early access because the game isn't done when they're selling you the first part. If the game was done, they would be selling it to you all at one time.
Well, I mean, is it finished and just sitting on the shelf?
There's no way. There's no way.
And so then, that part might be finished. A part of it might be finished. That's like saying, that doesn't mean the game's finished.
That's like saying, move into this house. I've got the living room and the kitchen are perfect. It's like, yeah, but there's no roof. It's like, well, I've been there. Dave's like, that feel, I know it.
The bedroom and the bathroom and the closet are pretty great, but I hope you don't really need a kitchen.
But yeah, like, that's It's unfinished. It's definitely unfinished. This is early access. I don't care what they tell you. They are selling you a game.
This is AAA early access.
I moved into an early access house, I just realized.
You are paying full price for an unfinished product that you have no guarantee will release. You can call it kickstarting or you can call it early access. You are not buying a finished game because once they get your money, you can't make them give you the rest of the game. Like, you get it or you don't. What other release day things really bug you guys? James, I know you really don't like on-disc DLC.
Worst. Yeah, that's probably my biggest pet peeve.
What game is a good example of that?
I'm okay. I'm okay with, like, I don't want to. I'm kind of ashamed to say which one. It was one of my pet peeves. I'm okay. Like, I understand how companies do day one DLC. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, you finish the game. It does take time to get printed and marketed and sent out to stores to.
Right, and your art team needs to do something in the meantime. Right,
but on disc, I mean, you had time to do all this. You're literally just charging people to unlock it with a key.
What's your good example?
I wouldn't say it's a good example, but I did play it. Risen 2 apparently had both sets of DLC on the disc. And before they patched it, you could actually do a command console configuration to actually unlock both DLCs for free.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
I think it's douchey. I think it's like, companies that give you a certain processor and then turn off cores or something like that just to meet a different
Yep. AMD did
market
that for years.
Yeah,
they did.
That just frustrates me.
Yeah. Well, in AMD's case, they were binning the processors lower. So the ones that weren't as stable running with max cores, maxed out, they could just disable a core, sell it as a triple core processor for a little cheaper. It's basically just a not as good quad core, which, I mean, kind of makes sense. But if you're smart, you just unlock the other core with the BIOS update and then you have a quad core again. But games that have on-disc DLC, would it surprise you to hear that Destiny had some on-disc DLC?
It was missing a lot of stuff on disc for me, so I don't know what it had.
A game that just can't win. We actually that's going to show up twice later in this podcast. Destiny is not going to be treated kindly this episode,
nor should it.
But other games with on disc DLC.
So what did Destiny have on disc?
It was just like some story add-ons and stuff. I don't think it was like a big named expansion, but stuff that they definitely sold you later was definitely there when they sold it to you.
Was it unfinished versions of it, or was it like just unlocked version?
We don't know. It's hard to tell. But the crew had multiple vehicles that were unavailable to the player, and then they were going to unlock it later. But it came on the disc. Bulletstorm. BioShock 2, surprisingly.
Was the crew stuff free, or was it actually paid DLC? Just out of curiosity for the cars.
I don't have an answer for that right now. I'd have to Google that.
Okay.
But it definitely, like, it had it on the disc and wasn't unlocked. Whether it's free or not, that still doesn't make sense. Like, you're acting like you're giving us a free gift, which is something you've already packaged into the disc, which is something we've already paid for. Like, it's not quite as scummy as charging you extra, but it's still kind of scummy in my opinion. Mm-hmm. But like,
I mean, if it's feature incomplete and they've still got to work on it, I don't mind. Like, if they have like the bare bones of something on the disc, I don't care. But to have something just ready to go, that's
I know. I agree.
I make the distinction though between that and something like like a kid's game like Skylanders or Disney Infinity, where they technically have all the characters on the disc, and you have to buy the different figures to play them. Because it's a money making scheme.
Yeah, nothing's good at printing money like making children's toys and then making a video game crossover.
But that is the experience for the kid. Switching out those characters, it's just another dimension. It's unfortunate that it's so expensive, but I'll at least somewhat support that.
Yeah. And we're probably going to do an episode in the future where we talk more about things that we wish games did differently on release days, like their giant patches and the servers not working and stuff. We're going to probably turn that into a huge main topic, but we just briefly touched on it tonight because it relates to Hitman, and we'll definitely be covering Hitman as we learn more about it, and maybe it ends up being better than we're hearing about it now, but they definitely did not inspire a lot of consumer confidence when they announced it.
But I hope this doesn't become a trend.
Yeah, me
too. Not at all. That'd be awful.
That it won't become a trend if people don't buy it day one, hint, hint. But for now, it is time for the triumphant return of the Potato Masher. It has been like 2 months since we had a Potato Masher video. Oh, sorry, spoilers.
Spoilers.
But because of all the episode 100 and episode 101 stuff, I have not touched the Potato Masher in quite a while, but I got back at it and we did Project Cars. So
it was lonely.
Hosts, do you guys have it queued up?
I do.
Yep.
All right, everyone in chat, you just watch it because I still can't paste links into the YouTube chat, but you can watch it on my channel, youtube.com/JERMgaming. It'll be going live right after the podcast this evening. So here is Project Cars on the Potato Masher. On 3, 2, 1, go. Today, we will be comparing Project Cars on the Potato Masher and the PlayStation 4. In case you don't know, the Potato Masher is a $350 PC custom built in December of 2014 and designed to compete against the PlayStation 4 for the remainder of its life cycle. The point is not to pick on consoles or make fun of them, but to show that PC gaming is a cheap and viable alternative to buying a console. If you have any questions about the Potato Masher, be sure to check out the FAQ video here if you click that button on screen, or click the link in the description of this video to go see the original build video. If you want to pixel peep, there is a download link for the full quality version of this video available in the description. And if you are watching this on a browser that supports 60 FPS, make sure you're watching in full screen and 60 FPS as we recorded and rendered this entire video at 60 frames per second. Alright, let's look at Project Cars. The first advantage you'll notice with the PC version of Project Cars is the clarity. Everything is much, much sharper. Unfortunately, this has the side effect of making aliasing a lot more noticeable, but at distances, it's pretty nice. The PS4 appears to have much less detail. It's not so noticeable close up, but as cars get farther away from you, you start to notice that they don't have shadows anymore, and things in the distance, including trees, cars, and the track itself, kind of become a little bit smudged. My best guess is that the anti-aliasing used on the PS4 version is some very heavy FXAA, and it is just reducing the detail to compensate for the very noticeable aliasing issues. Now, I can't directly measure the PS4's frame rate. I don't have any specialized tools that can do that. But if you slow both video clips down to half speed, you can easily see that they appear to be running at basically the exact same frame rate, which on the PC at least is a very smooth 60 FPS. Now in the rain it becomes a different story. This is a simulation game, so rain is very, very tough on it, and you will see that the PC version drops into the mid-30s. The PS4 version, like I said, appears to be running a little bit lower than 60, but pretty smooth. But on the PC version, the storm does appear to be quite a bit more stormy, which may contribute to it being a lower frame rate. Now, comparing the footage side by side, again, it's a little bit hard to tell, but if you slow it down to half speed, the PC version looks like it might be running at a slightly lower frame rate, so I went down to a quarter speed, and it's even more obvious the PC version on high is definitely running slower than the PS4 version. Luckily, dropping the settings to medium on the PC version will raise that frame rate back up. Here you can see it's at about 50 FPS. The question is that better than the PS4 version? I still think medium on the PC looks better than the PS4 version, but the question is it holding a higher frame rate? Now you see the frame rate now on medium is in the high 50s, mid to high 50s, and on the PS4, again, we're not sure, but we slow it down to half speed, and to me, the PC version looks like it's running a little bit smoother. So once again, I went down to quarter speed, and the PC version is definitely running at a higher frame rate. So, on high settings, the Potato Masher performed a little worse than the PS4 did in the rain, and on medium settings, it performed a little bit better. Next, I loaded up a track with the full 35 cars, which is the maximum you can possibly have in Project Cars, and I decided to see what differences I could spot. Now you'll see there that the Potato Masher definitely has more detail, but you may have missed. The PlayStation version actually has a little bit of screen tearing. If you can get the frame rate down a bit, like into the 30s or 40s. I'm guessing on the PlayStation 4 that's about what it looks like. Then you will see a little bit of screen tearing on the PlayStation, and you won't see it on the Potato Masher because I have VSync turned on, which of course is not an option you can play with on the PlayStation, so there you go. Now, I say all this not to pick on the PlayStation version. Honestly, it looks really good, but it's obvious that it can't quite handle the same amount of graphical fidelity in a simulation game as a PC can, and that's to be expected. Simulation games aren't about just being pretty, they're about simulating a very complex and particular set of conditions so that you can accurately enjoy an experience, and the PlayStation isn't the ideal platform to do that on. Sure, the PC version does have dips when the weather's bad or when there's a lot of cars on the track, but the PlayStation 4 will see those dips a whole lot worse, and you will notice them a whole lot more. Other changes, the reflections in rearview mirrors and the reflections on the cars themselves are much more detailed on the PC version, as is the subtle lighting that comes off the taillights, off fire coming out of the exhaust pipes, and the weather effects that you will notice on the car itself. Now, the biggest advantage the PlayStation has over the PC is the anti-aliasing. Like I said, the aliasing on the PC version with normal anti-aliasing turned on is pretty prominent, and the game does look sharper overall, but that aliasing can be a little bit annoying. Rest assured, if you're one of the people who does not like aliasing, you can turn the settings down to medium, and the Potato Masher will still have more detail than the PlayStation 4, and you can crank the anti-aliasing up enough that it looks just as good, if not better, than the PlayStation 4's anti-aliasing. Anyway, that's enough about the visuals. Let's see what other resolutions we can run Project Cars at. Project Cars scales to other resolutions very well. Here's the Potato Masher running Project Cars on the absolute highest settings at a very, very smooth 30 FPS with 15 cars on the track. Now, if you want to run at 60 FPS, you will have to go ahead and lower the settings down to medium, which, as you can see, still looks great and runs fantastic. But, you know, 1440p is pretty doable. How about 4K? Well, 4K pushes a lot of pixels. Here is Project Cars running at 1080p on the PlayStation 4. Here's 1440p on the Potato Masher. And finally, here is the Potato Masher running Project Cars at 4K on medium settings at a very, very stable 30 FPS. Now, if you want 60 FPS at 4K, you're a little bit out of luck. Lowering the settings all the way down still gives you a very nice looking game, but the frame rate is going to struggle to stay at 60. It'll very often drop into the 50s and 40s, and if you do some inclement weather driving, it will drop all the way into the 30s. 4K is just a lot of pixels to push, and there aren't many games that the Potato Masher can successfully play at 4K at great frame rates and very good settings. Project Cars is one of the best looking games I've ever played. On either system, you're going to get a game that looks great and runs really well considering all the different things the game is simulating while delivering a gorgeous experience. However, the Potato Masher once again is superior to the PlayStation 4. It's clearer, there's greater detail in pretty much every facet of the game's art design, and you have many more options when it comes to frame rates and resolutions. The PlayStation 4 version isn't bad, but there can only be one winner, and that is the Potato Masher. As always, check out the description of this video for more information, check out the original build video, leave us a comment, and have a great day.
Look at you, Jeremiah, declaring winners. I like that at the end. Can we have like a 3D podium, like where like it has a cheesy N64 zoom-in animation, and the Potato Masher's like, yeah, it's like a looping animation.
If you want to do that, if you want to After Effects me the Mario Kart 64 podium win there, I'll take it. Or actually, like the Gran Turismo one would be pretty good too.
Can we actually? I kind of want to make that, and then the Xbox One is always third, just by default.
My favorite part was when you went to 4K. It was just like, how many pixels was it? Frames?
Well, 30 for on medium when I first went to 4K. Yeah.
I mean, when you went, did you go high?
On 4K? At 4K? No, that was all. I never went higher than medium.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. It could probably do high if you was just one car. Like, it was just you racing around, it'd probably be fine on high settings in 4K. But the game looks great on medium and low, though. Like, this is one of the games where you really don't need to run everything on maxed out settings. Most people will not see the main differences. The car detail and the textures are what most people will notice. And then mostly what you're turning up is things like the resolution of the reflection maps. Dave, there's a lot here for you to get nerdy about.
That's what let's talk about them reflection maps.
There are 3 different types of anti-aliasing, which you can use all, none, or some combination of.
That's nice. That really
is nice. It has SMAA, MSAA, and FXAA, and you can use different variations of each. There's just lots of stuff like that, so you can really customize it to be whatever you want. So it's a great looking game. Really, really good.
I think the PlayStation 4 did a good job on this.
Yeah, for a simulation game, I was impressed.
Honestly, like, this is not the type of game you would normally find on a console. I'm just impressed. Like, this is more simulation-like than Gran Turismo. It doesn't have nearly the content that Gran Turismo does, but...
And they were going to try to make it for the Wii U.
Yeah.
That makes me laugh.
Hopefully it sells well on the PS4, too, and like, just increases the market for that kind of game. That'd be cool to see.
It is now time for the news.
News time!
Thank you, James.
All right, look at that. Yes.
Dave's news item is first. If you guys have missed how we do the show now, each host brings their own news topic to talk about, and then we have some general interest news items. So, Dave, what's going on?
Do you guys remember that Xbox One, was it Xbox Live actually, PSN and all were down over Christmas, and then John Smedley, the CEO of Daybreak Studios, they do PlanetSide and H1Z1, his plane got a bomb threat this year. There's been a lot of weird, like, just shenanigans, and when I say shenanigans...
That's one way to call bomb threats.
Yeah. I don't mean...
Let me pause you, Dave. Trust me, I remember Christmas. Because
oh, no.
My son had a game that needed an update, and well...
So basically... these are the kind of shenanigans that aren't casual like ours and make fun GTA videos. These are the kind of shenanigans that ruin Christmas. So, not cool. One of the guys that was involved in these DDoS attacks, the bomb threats, and just this absolute stupidity, like including swatting, which is sending a SWAT team to someone's house, one of them got caught. And we don't usually talk about this stuff because these kind of people do just love the attention. They do it because they can get away with it, and they love feeling powerful. But one of them got caught, and the headline just caught my eye. Lizard Squad hacker convicted on 50,700 hacking charges. The reason it took
there's
so
no
long,
way they like read all those out. Like, that's impossible. They just probably had a book that said, "This is everything you did."
It's like an Excel spreadsheet.
Do they do one for every affected user or something?
Possibly.
I don't know about that. No, because PSN would have been larger. I bet it was per infraction because this guy was part of tons of attacks.
Because that's usually what they do when they like anything that has. They can slap a bunch of charges. I'll do.
I mean,
amount of people
after the first like couple thousand, is there any point? Like, what's he sentenced to?
Apparently, after the first one, it didn't matter.
Yeah, see, that's the thing is, 50,000 is a nice big number, but I wish that they had gotten him on more. And apparently, more is coming because he's been convicted as of today of the 50,700, and his sentence for that conviction so far is a 2-year suspended sentence, and he must undergo monitoring of his online activities. No prison time, no jail time for 50,000 hacking activities. Charges include data breaches, felony payment fraud, telecommunication harassments, and other counts.
And what country is this in?
Finland, which believes in, from what people are saying on Reddit, like more of a rehabilitation system versus a punishment system, which is a nice thought. But I feel like this is where the punishment needs to kick in, around the 50,000 mark.
I mean, first bomb threat. I mean, you can rehabilitate from that, I guess.
And this is where the actual topic I wanted to mention comes in. Smedley, the CEO of Daybreak, has gone on to Reddit and is talking about some of the personal just issues he's had from this guy's actions and his group's actions. Apparently the kid is not, I keep calling him kid, he's 17. He knows better. He hasn't been charged for the bomb threats yet, and I'm hoping that some more justice comes from that. But Smedley is determined that he's going to make sure that these further charges do get this kid in prison. Besides the bomb threat, he said that he's heard the calls and whatnot, where the kid would like calling the SWAT team on people, and just how just smug he was the entire time that he could get away with it. Smedley says here on Reddit, I've been swatted multiple times this year and had over 50 false credit applications submitted in my name and had to deal with what happens to your credit when that happens. It's not good. And to top it off, he submitted false tax returns in my name this year. He's gone after his family, called his family at home, said, like, I know where you live and all this other stuff. So just a really kind of horrifying post. He's put his entire credit history onto the internet, including his social number, all his family's names, addresses, schools, all that stuff. He's basically said, at this point, it's beyond personal, and it's like my life mission right now to make sure that he actually goes away for this stuff. But as small as the justice is, at least we have a name now, and I'm not even going to bother repeating. You can just look for the article. Don't give the guy any more attention. We have a face to some of these crimes now, and hopefully these further charges actually doing up with some serious jail time. I'm hoping that maybe Homeland Security is going to get involved for the bomb threats and stuff like that.
Yeah, for stuff like bomb threats and tax fraud, that's identity theft and bomb threats. You should get more than a couple years.
Now, what would happen? What would happen in America, Dave?
In America, you swat someone else. Eventually, you're going to get swatted by the feds, probably. Yeah, man, 50,000 hacking charges. I know some of our laws haven't quite caught up to the internet, but maybe in this case that would be a good thing. Telecommunications fraud. Who knows what else he get charged with?
I'm not saying the guy should get life in prison or anything. Because 50,000 charges, if anything, could very easily stack up.
Yeah,
but 5 to 10 years, and he's not allowed to use computers for anything other than extremely
job hunting.
Yeah, extremely monitored job hunting or something for the next 20 years. That seems reasonable.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, I know there are people who commit computer crimes and have a very hard time living after that because they can't touch a computer. But this guy was very, very deliberately doing stuff, and I don't feel that sorry for him. It wasn't like he just stumbled into this. He did all this on purpose, and now he needs to face consequences. But
yeah, I make the distinction between acts of passion or, bad decisions than long-term decisions.
Yes,
Joel
absolutely.
and his controller, acts of passion.
James, what's your item?
My item is there have been a few announcements for Minecraft this week, which, yay for me, but my son loves Minecraft, so it's kind of a big deal. Number one, they've added two-handed support, which I think is pretty cool.
Two-hand, so you dual wield?
You can, dual wield, and they're adding a shield to the game too.
Ooh, that's big.
Wait, so two-handed support, that'd be you can have dirt and an axe or a pick or something, so you could just alternate between building and adjusting?
Yep. If you're building and you need to fight something off really fast, or if you're doing more serious fighting, you can hold up your shield to block and then hit with your sword and stuff like that, which I think is pretty cool. Mm-hmm. They've also announced a story mode through collaboration with Telltale. I don't know much about it.
I'm excited for that, actually.
But I think it's cool. I think it'll be good for kids. I mean, I'll probably enjoy it too. The other thing, and this one's a little different, they're doing a Windows 10 release of the game, which is supposed to
a special version.
Mm-hmm. And so, if you already own the game, you get it for free. Everyone else can buy the game for $10 during the beta period, which is kind of cool. Mm-hmm. Which you never would find that game on sale. So.
Right. So if I already own Minecraft,
that is the time to buy it. It's free.
I already own Minecraft, so I get it for free on Windows 10. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. And then what?
And so they've added a few new features. I think it's supposed to work better with their pocket editions. You can actually play together.
Okay.
Online. They've added a game DVR feature, which I mean, for us, everybody that has shadow play and stuff, yeah, whatever. But that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Native support's always nice. Yeah.
Yeah. And so they're supposed to be taking more advantage of whatever's Windows 10's features are going to bring.
Right.
So,
and James, you mentioned the PE edition. I heard, just from reading an article, I think on r/games, that they're actually basing the code base for the Windows 10 version off of the PE version, which does not use Java. And there's a rumor that this might be Microsoft's first step into merging all the branches together and getting rid of Java as a requirement for, that the game's written in Java, which is not super efficient. I've heard it's just a rumor.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah.
Honestly, and I think, if Microsoft uses this as a launching point to bring crossplay more more into the spotlight and to make it actually something that happens more, I think it'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, that seems to be their goal with some of the Xbox One games that are coming out after Windows 10 is released, doing cross-play support. So I think it's pretty cool.
Cross-play as long as everyone uses a controller. But
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
But, well,
I understand why. I just think it sucks. Getting to play with people is cool, but having it be restricted like that's not fun. But yeah. And then my item is Anantech in their review of the R9 Fury X got confirmation from AMD that AMD is not officially dropping Mantle support. Mantle was their competitor for DirectX. They have ceased all further Mantle optimization. They have not optimized Mantle for GCN 1.2, which is their architecture that has the Fury X, the R9 285, the R9 380, and the Carrizo APU, Accelerated Processing Unit. And they're throwing all their weight behind Vulkan and DirectX 12, telling developers that future games should use those APIs. Now, Vulkan was kind of a spin-off of Mantle, so it's not like they've totally dropped their idea, but Mantle was supposed to be big and revolutionary. It wasn't really. Like, it was kind of nice. It had some improvements. It wasn't perfect, and they're kind of moving on from that to version 2.0, which is Vulkan and DirectX 12. So it's not like a bad thing, but they're definitely moving on pretty quickly there. And then, last general news item, Gigabyte has released their G1 gaming version of the 980 Ti, and that card is a beast. It's already overclocked, and you can overclock it even farther. It overclocks to the point where it is like as fast as an R9 295 X2, which is two R9 290s together.
Oh my.
It overclocks. If you overclock that card, it is basically dead even with a 970 SLI, which is of great interest to me. Although my 970s are also pretty heavily overclocked, so it's not like, they're still better when they work correctly. When the SLI is scaling smoothly, they would be a little bit better, but most of the time a 980 Ti would be far superior. So I'm very excited to hear what happens with the R9 Fury and comparing that to the Fury X and how well they overclock, especially when the Fury X's voltage gets unlocked, because any of the overclocking that anyone's tried to do on the Fury X is still capping out around like 7 to 10%, but the card stays super cool. So in theory, when they unlock the voltage, that card might turn into a monster and clobber the 980 Ti, or NVIDIA has a monster hit on their hands, and I'd be very interested in that. But
hey, Dave.
Yes, sir.
How do you like those 1440 numbers?
Oh, you guys are looking at the comparison or the review I posted?
I am.
Good times. I wanted to ask you too, Jeremiah. Going back to the APIs just briefly, I think I've heard this from other people, and I think I really agree with it. I think a big part of Mantle was AMD just kind of kicking the industry in the rear end and say, hey guys, DirectX has been stagnating for too long. It's time for some actual improvements to this API. Yeah. I think the fact that AMD came out with Mantle, and then a game as big as Battlefield 4 was that supported it, woke Microsoft up, and I'm sure that there was a DirectX team that was already working on DirectX 12, but I really think Mantle was a big part of why DX12 is going to be a revolutionary step and not an evolutionary step.
I mean, you can thank AMD for pushing Intel forward or pushing NVIDIA forward a lot of the time. Like they definitely have a large hand. Anytime that NVIDIA makes a big jump forward or Intel has made a big jump forward at times, it's usually because AMD has released some interesting new product that kind of pushes people along. So yeah, that's definitely the case. All right, it is now time for mail time. You can write into the show at casualshenanigans.
Mail time.
Yes. casualshenanigans@gmail.com to be a part of the show, just like some people did this week. And hold on one second, I'm looking up something to show. But, yeah, you can write in to the show just like Dai did. Dai, I might be pronouncing his name wrong, D-A-I. He says, subject, love the podcast. I've been following the podcast since sometime in 2013, and I haven't missed an episode since. I just want to express my love for your podcast and all of the hosts. Yes, that includes Debbie. Congrats on the changes with streaming this awesome website and the changes to focus on different content. I love all of you, and I hope Debbie spends more time in the show. Well, thank you, Di, for writing in.
If you want more Debbie, just look at any of our GTA 5 videos, because Debbie's like the cornerstone of all things Grand Theft Auto 5.
She is the group pusher.
Yeah. Debbie and Grand Theft Auto is just a beautiful thing together.
Pretty much.
Yeah. But our next thing is from Steven. Steven says, a different Steven than Singularity 80, different guy. He says, hello, CSG. First time writing in. I'm wanting to see what you guys can build for me with a budget of $800. I currently have a keyboard and mouse, 2 monitors, Microsoft Windows 8.1 via DreamSpark, which means he got it for free, just like you can do, because Windows doesn't have to cost $100. Everyone in the comments, shut the hell up.
Don't lie, Jeremiah. Don't lie on the internet.
Anyway, he has speakers and a headset, and he just needs the tower. He plays Terra, GTA 5, Arma, Smite, BF4, BF3, and The Witcher 3. He wants to play 60 FPS 1080p with the possibility to go up to 1440p in the future. He wants an SSD and a nice size hard drive for recording. He does stream as well, so something that can handle all that would be needed. Thanks for all you guys do. I love the new direction y'all are going, and stay casual.
That's a good budget. That's a happy budget.
It's a decent budget. He wants to do a lot with it. So I've got a build. Let me see if I can give it to you guys really quick. Hold on. Dave, I'm going to send this to you via...
Well, after listening to the tech podcast, I mean, you don't have to work as many miracles.
What do you mean? Oh.
There's a couple miracle cases.
Dave, if you look at your personal Google Hangouts thing, you will have gotten a PC part picker.
You just sent that to my freelance emails Google Hangouts. Let me open
sorry.
up my other tab.
How would you... Here, I'll email it to you really quick. How about that?
It's going to go to the wrong email, too, I'm sure.
I'm going to send it to Evil Viking. James, do you want it as well?
Yes, I want a copy.
I do have a lot of Google accounts.
All right. There you go. Oh, shoot.
Do you remember when Google was invite only?
I do. I have an invite only account. Yeah. My original account was invite only in early 2005, I think.
Mm-hmm. You're the reason why it was hard to get one.
So
that's not true, though. I had 20 handouts of invites that I did. So.
Anyway, Steven, here's the problem. You want an SSD, you want 1080p 60 FPS, you want a big hard drive for recording, and you want to be able to stream. That's some fairly demanding stuff to all want for $800. $800 is a decent budget, but you're looking to do a lot of different things. So I've put together a build that can definitely do it, and I'll explain the limitations. So it has a i5 4670K. It has a Cooler Master Hyper 212 Evo to cool it. It has a Z97 motherboard. It has 8 gigs of Crucial Ballistics RAM. It has a 120 gig SanDisk SSD. It has a Western Digital 1 terabyte hard drive. It has an R9 280 graphics card, which is 3 gigabytes of VRAM. It has a Corsair 200R case, a Corsair 650 watt power supply, and a Samsung DVD burner. And that comes out to $831 after 3 mail-in rebates. They're small rebates, though. Without rebates, it would be $876. And here's the issue. I could save you a lot of money if we go to an AMD processor. There is no cheaper Intel processor that's going to do everything you need it to do and let you overclock it to get the extra performance you're going to need. Unfortunately, with Intel, that means you're stuck at $235. If we swap this out for an FX 8350 or an 8320, which since you do play Arma, that's going to hurt it a little bit. That's going to hurt your Arma some, but it still will play it. It'll still be able to play it. That would save us, $80, and we could easily bump up your graphics card to something nicer that'll be able to handle 1080p 60 FPS. Now, the R9 280 is a great card. It can do 1080p 60 FPS. It can do 1440p. It's a lot nicer than the video card and the Potato Masher. But it may not do it quite as well as you want. The other limitation is you want an SSD and a hard drive for recording. Well, we have to get you a cheap SSD to be able to afford a hard drive too. And the cheap SSD, it's only 120 gig. You can't install your games on that. And you're not going to be able to install that many games on it. 1 or 2 games, because modern games are so huge. You can't put GTA on this thing. So you have to install it on the hard drive. Then you're going to be recording to the same hard drive that you're playing games off of, which is a big no-no. So I'm going to tell you, this build will do what you want with some limitations, but on the next episode of Casual Shenanigans Tech, we will go more in depth to this, and we will offer you some alternate versions of this build. But Dave, did you have anything you want to add?
Just a good job. I like this a lot. This looks really good. I wish I could post a link in the YouTube comments so everyone else can see right now.
There's a couple things you could. Once you cut the processor and the motherboard, it's $350. combo. That's expensive.
And I can get that
for
down
what he needs to do.
Yeah, and I can get that down under 200 with an AMD board. For budget stuff, you want AMD. We'll just have to overclock the crap out of it to play Arma. It'll still play Arma fine. It just won't be as good as Intel.
But I guess the one thing that would be important is to find out how much recording he plans on doing. I mean, if he's planning on doing like the occasional shadow play, yeah, his 1 terabyte's probably fine for gaming and recording. But if this is going to be a regular thing, then I would suggest a third drive.
Yeah, I agree. And, if he wants to do shadow play, we can switch to an NVIDIA card. It's going to be slower for more money, but it would get him shadow play, which would make the actual recording a lot easier because you can dump to the same disk you're playing off of. That would be okay. Like shadow play could handle that. It's going to be a little bit hard on your system. I still don't think it's the best idea, but it would be a way to do it. So Steven, in a couple weeks, keep an eye out for that episode of Casual Shenanigans Tech, and we will answer your question more in depth. And thank you to everyone who's written into Casual Shenanigans Tech so far. Al.
Dramatic
Sorry, guys.
sound.
Thank you to everyone who's written in. We did our first episode, and people seem to really like it. Lots of people are checking it out. And thank you everyone who writes in. Thank you to everyone who reviews us on iTunes and stuff. That's really awesome. And right into the show, casualshenanigans@gmail.com. It's now time for the Singularity Shame segment, a part of the podcast where we highlight somebody who needs to be knocked down a peg, and we knock them down as many as we possibly can. So we're going to rag on Destiny a little bit. The first thing, there's 2 bits of things that we can shame them for.
Quick, kick them while they're down.
Well, they deserve it. So, I mean, I'm not trying to be mean, but yeah. So, Destiny is doing a Red Bull promotion, and it has been a giant failure. They were giving out these game codes for extra content, and people looked at the codes and figured out some similarities in the different codes and figured out the algorithm they were using to make the codes. And then people started making like code generators and handing codes out to other people. And now people who have been legitimate codes, people who got legitimate codes from Activision or Bungie, now some of them can't redeem them because someone else has already stole them because they used a really crappy game code generator.
Oh man,
guys, that's not that hard to do. Like, we figured out how to do that correctly a really long time ago. Don't be that dumb. And then the next thing is Destiny could have been a lot funnier. David Cross, who is Uncle Tobias on Arrested Development, and Brian Posehn, who's another comedian, were apparently called up to Bellevue, Washington, to do a punch-up, it's called, on the Ghost character in Destiny. A punch-up is where you write the character for something, and then you call in a really good writer to take what you've written and then just fine-tune it, add more personality, add more zest, smooth out the rough edges, make it more enjoyable, breathe some life into a character or into a script. So David Cross and Brian Posehn are both hilarious, and they spent a couple of days writing extra witty one-liners and dialogue for Ghost, which is your stupid little AI bot thing that follows you around and is voiced with 0 charisma by Peter Dinklage. And they said both of these guys are gamers. They were really excited to do it.
Sorry to interrupt, but Peter Dinklage did that voice?
Yeah.
Didn't really matter, did it?
No, it didn't.
Wow. Carry on.
Yeah. But like they were super excited, and they said now you go and play it. Said they didn't use a single one of the lines we wrote. Not a single one have they heard in game. And you're playing like 20 hours of this thing, and Ghost is just monotone saying, "We need to go to the ridge. There's the guy over there. We need to defeat him," which is exactly what the guy sounds like. It's exactly what Ghost sounds like. It's just, here is the thing. Let's go to the thing. Protect me while I scan the thing. Mission complete. Get ready to do it again. We're doing it again now. Like, that's literally what Ghost sounds like. And so it sounds like they had written this a lot more like, some of the stuff from Portal, some of these self-aware robots and things. It sounded a whole lot more like that originally, which makes it a real shame that they didn't use any of the dialogue. And maybe they had legitimate business reasons for doing it, but given that it is Bungie, Bungie used to be really good. Given that it's Destiny, my inclination is just a bunch of people made really stupid decisions, and that's why we're where we are. That's the Singularity Shame segment. So what do you guys...
I can't help but think they use the practice takes for Peter Dinklage.
or like he was like, guys, I got to get back to Game of Thrones. Can we just like speed this up so I can cash this $1 million check?
It was like a one afternoon recording for the whole game.
I mean, it sounds kind of like that. It's not like a lot of that dialogue probably could be reused.
No, to his defense, it was a really poorly written script.
Also, just sitting back and looking
that's why you bring
at
people
the idea,
in.
Like, who was the person in the board meeting that said, guys, what if we pay Peter Dinklage a bunch of money to play a monotone robot? Like, none of the personality comes through. What's the point?
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean,
it's not
he has a good voice.
He has a good voice,
voiceover.
but it's not like his voice is his main selling point.
Yeah.
Like his wit and charisma are selling points. So you don't let him do either of those. And then it's not like he has one of those voices where people are like, oh my gosh, I would listen to this guy read anything. Like Morgan Freeman could have been Ghost and read it in that voice and everyone would have been fine with it. But not many people are Morgan Freeman. And that's an issue. But before we wrap up the podcast tonight, what have you guys been playing? We haven't done this in a while. What's everyone playing? Dave, I'll start with you.
Playing this week? A lot of GTA 5. And just playing the Geralt Beard Simulator 2015, also known as Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. And
hair works on, hair works off. Hair works on, hair works off.
And arguing with you guys and taking screenshots for comparisons over and over again.
That was worth it.
I hate you all. Carry on.
So mostly just that?
Yeah, I mean, you and I playing a little bit of Attila still. Got that good campaign going. That's a good long-term game, so we're still enjoying that.
Speaking of which, we should probably play some more sometime soon. It's good long-term when you do it every couple of weeks.
Or every week, maybe.
I'd love to. We should schedule that. But James, what are you playing?
Just like last week, I've been on a Trials kick lately. It's just been really fun. Like, since I have very limited time slots to actually play, it's a good get into a few levels and actually do the same level like 30 times till I get it perfect.
Yeah.
And then be done. I also introduced my son to Halo.
Oh, awesome.
Recently.
The Master Chief Collection?
I'm letting him just play the first one since it's not
now,
as...
are you letting him play it with the better
bad.
graphics?
Yeah, he actually enjoys the switching back and forth.
Really?
Yeah.
Even though to him, like, the new thing is like, oh, this is kind of a crappy version of what my games look like, but like that's the new graphics. Well, the old graphics would like hurt him in his soul, probably.
Well, yeah, you know, kids these days actually really do look at old graphics and like, oh my gosh, that looks awful. And it's like, that was really good for its time.
It's like, but James, you could be like, I was in college when that came out. Like, that's not even that old.
But that
was good.
We did some multiplayer too, and he really enjoyed Hang 'em High. Mm-hmm. Like, it was fun.
Cool.
Nice.
Any game is good that you can play with other people, I would say. But I've been playing more Forza Horizon. Or Forza Horizon 2. That is an awesomely fun game, and Singularity 80 and I have some plans for a series we're going to be doing with that. We've come up with an idea that we think is pretty interesting and should be pretty funny, if nothing else. And I have been playing a little bit more Witcher. I'm finally getting back into that. I've, of course, been playing GTA 5. Every time Debbie sounds the horn, we all come rushing. I don't think I'm really playing anything else. Yeah, mostly just Forza and GTA and Witcher. But, I mean, what else do you need?
I have to say,
it's a good year.
Forza looks fun. Like it
Horizon 2, that's one of the funnest. Like, I haven't had this much fun playing a game. There's been more realistic games that fulfill me more as a racing and car fan. Forza is the most. Yeah, it's the most fun I've had since Underground 2, Need for Speed Underground 2.
Like, it just looks like straight shenanigans the whole time.
It is,
even though you're seriously driving.
You're seriously driving, but then, like, if you think about it, it's like, yeah, but I'm tearing through a vineyard in, like, a supercar with off-road tires and, like, a giant British flag painted on it, listening to classical music at 150 miles an hour. Like, it just doesn't take itself that seriously.
I like it.
But the mechanics are there. So it's really good.
It looks really good, too.
It does. I don't think it's on sale anymore. It was on sale for $30, and I think it was definitely worth $30.
Yeah.
But if you could get a cheap copy of it, I think it would for sure be worth it. But does anyone have anything else they want to talk about before we wrap down?
Joel has been playing Norman this week.
Things are going well, though. He wanted us all to tell you.
Nice.
I wanted us to tell you all whatever. But
as much as I'm enjoying the special effects, the tidbits I'm really enjoying are the little like bits of music he's been showing us. Like, every little piece of music is so good. I would buy this OST for sure. I'm excited.
Do we get that as like a Kickstarter bonus? Or
maybe I worked for free on the movie.
I think you get it for being in the film.
Oh, okay. I meant like the royal we. Do we get, you know?
Ooh.
I don't think there was going to be official OST originally. Like, I think it was going to be a smaller production for that. So I don't know if that was even something they mentioned on Kickstarter. But yeah, it's going to be really awesome no matter how you listen to it. But yeah, that's the show this week. Thank you guys for tuning in. Next week, we are going to have Tristan Moore from Broken Window Studios. He's the guy who did Grave, which was a game that was successfully kickstarted after he appeared on our podcast. Coincidence? Who knows? He also has a game that's in early access, Reflections. I'm going to be playing that for next week. And we're going to have him on, and we're going to be talking all about indie games. It's going to be a podcast focused on the wide, interesting, varied world of indie gaming. So definitely do not miss that. That'll be next Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on youtube.com/casualshenanigans, which is where we stream the podcast. And just a reminder to anyone watching this or listening to it on Dave or I's channels, which are youtube.com/JERMgaming and youtube.com/evilviking13. You have 2 more podcasts after this one to watch the show on our channel before you need to be subscribed to the Casual Shenanigans YouTube channel, because we're going to stop posting the videos on our channels. We'll still post them in our playlists, so you'll be able to go to our channel and see them. But the only place to watch Casual Shenanigans Gaming will be on youtube.com/casualshenanigans.
Now,
what happens? Home of the podcast.
What happens after the next podcast that following weekend?
What do you mean? Oh, yes. James and I are traveling to where Dave and Joel are, and we are meeting up with Singularity 80, Pierogi, and Ultra Grunt. Ultra Grunt Shane has come to America, and we're going to be
come home.
He's come to his real home. And as Steven calls it, we're having CSG Con 2015. And you can expect to see some videos and podcast materials coming out of that. It should be a really awesome time.
There will be shenanigans.
There will.
I don't want to promise anything because I'm having difficulty pulling this off, but Shane, I'm trying to find someone who has an AK pattern rifle that I can borrow for the weekend, because my personal vision for that weekend is when we take you out to experience the freedom of target shooting in the middle of a state forest. I want you to have an AR just tucked under one arm and an AK in the other, hit firing at a target 10 feet away and still missing.
Well, I mean, we could also do it. We've got 2 shotguns. I'm going to bring mine, which is buttless. Like, it's just a shorty 18.5-inch pump. And you've got your pump, which is only a 20-inch, but it does have a buttstock. He could double arm both of those. I don't know if his frail British arms can take that, but
the only problem is you can't do the pump action with a shotgun in each hand. Like, you get two shots.
Oh yeah, you can.
I've done it.
Okay,
there's a video somewhere of me doing that. I shot and then tossed him up, grabbed the slides, racked it. You have to rack hard, and then tossed him up and grabbed him again.
You can physically do it, however,
that only goes wrong one time.
Yeah, you really can't do it safely with a whole bunch of people nearby.
Just for the record, everybody, I was racking it with empty. Like, I racked it empty after that. I shot one group of shells. I didn't want to make it sound like I was being super unsafe there. But yeah, we're going to be going target shooting and stuff. It should be a really awesome time. Be on the lookout for stuff like that. Come hang out with us in Teamspeak. Our Teamspeak is in the description of this podcast. Come join the Seal Slappers in GTA. It's our Rockstar social club, so you guys can play with us. We're in game pretty frequently, so just keep an eye. And we always send invitations when we do missions to anyone on the crew. And that's pretty much it. Like us, rate us, subscribe to us, support us on Patreon. Basically, all the love, all the likes, all
Validate
the comments.
Us.
And then, if we haven't taken enough parts of your wallet, send to us, because we deserve it. We're Casual Shenanigans. And from all of us to all of you, James, you've got the new mic, so I think your deep, sexy voice needs to take us out this week.
I'm going to lean in for this one. All right, I'm ready.
Thanks for listening, children. Oh. Stay casual.
Bye, everybody.